So to start things off, this video isn't meant to be like a flex or a way to show off. I merely wanted to kind of showcase my journey with watches and explain what each piece I've collected along the way means to me, and to show like a more attainable collection compared to, I don't know, huge collections where each watch is over 10 grand or something. If we're going to talk about my journey, then I feel like we should start at the beginning. My first watch, I think, was actually a plastic toy Mickey Mouse watch, but that's since been lost to time. So my first watch that I've still managed to keep is this G-Shock DW-003. I'm trying to remember exactly when I got this. It must have been around 3rd grade or 4th grade, so right around the year 2000. And as a bit of context, my dad was a fighter pilot in the Air Force, and he always used to wear the watches with like the calculator buttons on the front, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I thought it was like a spy gadget kind of watch. So I really wanted a similar one, a digital watch. And yeah, I got this. I mean, I guess you can see like the wear over the years. This part is cracked, just like my nail, don't mind that. I think I wore this a ton from 3rd or 4th grade all the way till probably 9th grade. Oh, and that's still falling apart. A couple years ago, I think I found it in a drawer at my parents' house, and I replaced the battery and it's working totally fine, which is crazy. The illuminator is a little dim, but yeah, I'm glad I kept this, because I feel like, kind of like guitars, you always want to keep your first one, even though my first guitar got cracked at a party. But in a similar vein, like, it's cool to see a piece from like very early on in your kind of like watch collecting history. And a funny story, whenever I think about this watch, when I was in 5th grade, I believe, we were living on base in Hawaii, and I would walk to school. One morning I saw these two girls like look over my way as I was walking. I was very nerdy in those days, so I had this huge watch on. I was probably wearing like a collared shirt, like a bowl cut haircut. When they looked over, my immediate thought was, okay, I gotta look cool. And my first instinct was to like whip my head down at my watch and start typing randomly on the face. In my head, it looked like I was doing something really important on my cool spy watch. But as soon as I did that, they like burst out laughing, and then they started doing this on their wrist too, to each other. So I was like, okay, I guess that didn't work. But I can look back on that now and laugh. I stopped wearing this around 9th grade because I wanted to get away from that image of being a big nerd. Yeah, after that, I didn't really wear anything on my wrist for quite a long time. But funnily enough, like, the way I got back into watches was through a friend, through my good friend, Micah Ganneron. Shout out Micah. We played in a band together in Hawaii for a number of years. He would always have these like cool watches for whatever gig we played. And they would be like department store watches, so like Fossil, like Hugo Boss. And he took me one time to like Nordstrom or Macy's or something to pick up another one for an upcoming gig. He was showing me them and I was like, yeah, they look really cool. But then I was looking at the prices, and back then like 200, 300 was a lot for, you know, just like an accessory in my eyes. And so I was looking at it and I was like, since these are designer brands, they must slap their logo on kind of like a cheaper, just like generic watch, and you're just paying for the brand name basically. So I was like, you know, let me do some research and I'll give you some good watch brands that like people recommend as actually being quality. So I was looking stuff up. I was looking at like the watches subreddit. I was looking up best watch brands, and then I saw the prices and I was like, okay, best affordable watch brands. And then I started looking up like, oh, what's the difference between quartz mechanical? And I was looking up like 3D animations of how a mechanical movement works. And I started really falling in love with watches, like just like how different the designs could vary. And so I became kind of an enthusiast. So then, I still hadn't bought my own though, even after all that research, but we would go down to like the mall, Ala Mall. I had found the brand Tissot. I think it was a PRX that I'd found. And we were both like going crazy over it. It was $800, which was insane, but we wanted to just see it in person. So we went to the mall. We were looking around and we saw a swatch, kind of like kiosk. So we went up and we're like, yeah, we just wanted to know if you had any Tissot. And the worker was like, any what? We're like, yeah, Tissot. I don't know if you've heard of that. And then she was like, do you mean Tissot? And we're like, oh yeah, Tissot, yeah. I don't know about you, but I really hate mispronouncing things. I think it's definitely a pride thing that I probably need to work on. But when that happens, it just feels like I'm not in the loop, you know? It was unfortunate that I picked watches as a hobby because every brand name and model seems to be in French or German, which is not the easiest to pronounce. But she directed us to like another watch store in the mall. So we went up there and we were in our like ratty gym clothes, and the guys clocked us as soon as we walked in. They're like, yeah, they're not gonna buy anything. But we found the model of Tissot that we're looking for. Yeah, we were just like going crazy over it, but we didn't end up buying it that day, obviously, because it was $800. So fast forward to 2019, I had moved away from Hawaii with my now fiance. I still was into watches, like big time. So I knew I wanted to get one, but actually my birthday was coming up. My fiance was like, oh, for your birthday, I could get you like a watch. That'd be cool. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool. I kind of told her what I was looking for, and she found actually a fossil that kind of fit what I liked in a watch, like design-wise. And she was gonna have like the back engraved for my birthday and everything. And then all of a sudden they canceled her order right before my birthday was supposed to happen. So she was like panicking because her gift was now gonna be late. But then I forget if she had found this brand or if I had like seen it on the watches subreddit of like entry-level brands. But she ended up getting me this, the Orient Bambino 2nd Gen version 3. It's a mechanical movement, it's automatic winding, and it's kind of cool because it's hacking seconds. So if I pull the crown out to set the time, then the second hand will stop, so you can really get like even more accuracy instead of waiting for it to go all the way around and setting it right at 12 o'clock. I just really love this like minimalist dial. This blue is like really striking to me. It's Japan made, which I really appreciate because I'm half Japanese, and I wore it to, you know, going to a night out, or even I wore it to work a bunch. It just felt like, you know, I could kind of wear it anywhere. Not too flashy, but like just elegant enough that it could be that versatile. This was a great, like, I guess, re-entry into watch collecting, but this is my first watch as an adult. There's a lot of sentimental value. And even when I pull it out again, like I don't wear it as much nowadays, but the dial is still like striking to me, how it catches the light. So yeah, I love this watch, and shout out to my fiance. So now it's 2020, a year's passed. We've been in lockdown for quite a number of months, and it's my birthday rolling around again. Some good friends of ours, I was having a party, and for my gift, they introduced me into the Casio club with this. This is a Casio A168W-1, just like classic model. And yeah, it was really cool to be gifted another watch for my birthday, and to be part of the Casio club. I think is cool. You know, it has all the functions of a digital watch. It's like very simple and just like classic, but it's a really cool piece. At this point, when I got this, I was officially a collector. And this was like a great everyday watch. Didn't have to worry if it got damaged or like scratched or anything. Yeah, shout out to my friends for getting me this, my second piece as an adult. So then I was really looking online for like my next watch, so like the bug had got me. And I stumbled across a picture of this black and rose gold watch from a brand called Jack Mason. I really loved how it looked, but still at that point, like spending $200 on a watch seemed a little crazy. So I waited, and then I guess further down the line I checked back again, and that model is no longer being sold. So in a panic, and you'll kind of see this happen again later on, I ended up just Googling black and rose gold watch just to find a replacement to like scratch that itch. So I ended up finding this, which is a Timex Marlin California dial. When I saw it, I really loved just like clean dial. The Roman numerals and the Arabic numerals kind of like split, which is the California dial. And I ended up putting it on a NATO strap here, so I found one that matched. But in my impatience, just how I kind of bought this spontaneously because I was panicking that I wouldn't get the rose gold watch that I wanted. In my impatience, when I was taking off the original strap, when I was trying to get the spring bars off of the lugs, I really like shredded the leather because I was just trying to hurry so quickly. I don't think I had a spring bar tool at that time. Here you can see like you can catch this and it'll just pop out. I like it on the NATO, but if I ever wanted to go back to the original straps, I don't think I mean, I probably could, but it just looks like somebody ripped them up back here. When you're working or modifying on watches, it's best to be patient and delicate, so you don't do like irreversible damage. On the glass itself, there is a scuff here. I must have bumped like a rock wall or something walking around. This got me the rose gold watch I was looking for, but I don't even wear it that much, to be honest. It kind of sits funny on my wrist. It's 40 millimeters, which is kind of like close to the max that I can wear, I feel like, comfortably. Just because, I don't know, like the way my bone sits right here, it like sometimes pushes the watch too far up where then it has to go down here. And also, I don't know if you can hear, but like the winding rotor that automatically winds it, like it's moving now, see? Makes this really like loud, kind of like scratching noise, and it's not the most pleasant thing. Oh, actually, I forgot, it is a clear case back, so you can see, well, I don't know if you can because of the NATO strap, but you can kind of see like but that thing will spin whenever you move your wrist around, and it'll wind the mainspring so that it keeps it powered. It's still a cool piece. I'll wear it once in a while if I'm feeling like in a rose gold mood, I guess. So after the Timex, I was still looking at Jack Mason. The model I was looking at was with Ellum, and I really liked how minimal it was, and just like sleek and simplistic. So even though they didn't have the black and rose gold anymore, I ended up getting this kind of like silver dial and like a steel case. And this was only a couple months later from getting the Timex. Yeah, I was like making kind of these impulse buys, even though I'd been looking at it a lot. Yeah, and this became kind of like my go-to wear because it was just easy to wear. It looked really nice. It was good for like any occasion basically. And it was quartz, so I didn't have to worry about setting it every time I wanted to wear it. It came with a black strap, and I bought a brown strap from them also, just so I could match it with any outfit I was gonna wear. But I kind of like it on the brown. When you're collecting these kinds of watches, like, it is tempting to just keep getting the ones you want and like following that rush, but I think it should never be at the expense of just like your livelihood or like spending way over what you can actually afford day to day. I don't think it's worth it. And I've heard a lot of other people say that too. Hiding it from your significant other is never a good idea. So like I'll totally be upfront with her and be like, oh yeah, I'm looking at another watch, and she'll roll her eyes and joke around, but it's not a serious issue. And she knows I'm not gonna be like super irresponsible. My next piece, I don't remember exactly when I got it. I think it's the most unique piece in my collection, and it's this. I'm not sure quite how to pronounce it. I think it's EBOHR, Chinese PLA watch, so like Chinese Army. I can't quite fit it, unfortunately. It needs like 1 or 2 links. So I never wear it, but I think just like, yeah, look at that. Just having it in my collection is really cool. I tried Googling as much as I could about this watch specifically, but also this brand in general, and I couldn't find too much on it. Just knowing, I don't know, that I have this watch from another country is pretty cool. At this point, it's 2022. I have my 4 watches, well, I guess 5. Now I'm like actively browsing for my next watch, like consistently. One thing I never wanted to like buy a duplicate, like a watch that's too similar to one I already own, because I like having variety and it's kind of like redundant in my eyes. But I started looking at Japanese brands because I'm half Japanese, so I think it'd be cool to get one from there. And I found a brand in Kyoto. I think it was through either a YouTube video or like watch a subreddit or even from Instagram. They market heavily on Instagram, which could be a red flag, I think, for a lot of brands. But I was hearing good things from other sources, so I ended up getting a Kuoe. And I always used to call it Kuoe because I was reading it like Romaji, but it's Kuoe. This is an Old Smith 90-002. Yeah, I really loved this old like classic field watch aesthetic. These numbers look super cool. They're like raised off of the dial. The yellow hands and like on the indices with the black and white looked really striking to me. You can probably see it in the close-up footage I took, which by the way was like super DIY. I was just spinning like a piece of paper on the table as I was filming the extreme close-ups, and the focus was really hard to get, but hopefully it looks okay. But like the dial texture is really cool on this watch too. And it's mechanical. It has a Seiko NH35 movement inside with the date window. And it has a sapphire glass, which is cool. I don't know if you noticed, but before I didn't really have metal bracelets. Always like leather or like the native strap. So I was like, ooh, I hope this is comfortable because I don't want it pinching my hair. You can tell I have like long arm hair. So I tried this on, and this like beads of rice bracelet that they have is super, super comfortable. It's nice to wear. And this became my favorite watch when I got it. And I was wearing it quite a lot. And also the diameter is 35 millimeter is perfect. Like, I'm glad the smaller diameters are coming back in style, because, you know, I have like a 40 with Timex and like, I think 37, 38 with some of the other ones. But like 35 is kind of like a sweet spot in my eyes. Like, it's just really comfortable. So yeah, this became my new favorite. So shout out Kuoe. Also in 2022, a few months later after I bought the Kuoe, I ended up seeing something else and kind of impulsively buying it. But it was still relatively attainable, so it wasn't a huge blunder. But so I don't know if you've heard of Hodinkee, but they've been collaborating with a bunch of brands, and so a lot of them were like a little too out of my price range. But then this one showed up, and it's a collab with Timex, and it's a Q Timex vintage Hodinkee limited edition. When I saw it, I was like, man, this looks so cool. I really love like the pipe hand dial and like the sector lines dividing up the face. This is kind of along the lines of like the spy watch, I guess I was looking for again. Although it's like a totally different style from the G-Shock. Yeah, I really liked it when I saw it, so I jumped on it and bought it kind of quickly, but I don't know, I think it's cool. The one issue I have though is, like I was saying about the Kuoe, I was wary about kind of like metal bracelets pinching, and this one is kind of like this elastic metal band, which is nice, but it pinches, it'll catch your hair, and it's kind of like sharp edges. But besides that, like, I really like how this watch looks. So I'll wear it from time to time, I'll just throw it on. I guess I lean towards kind of like retro, minimalist, or just like simplistic dials. Nothing too flashy so far, and like nice proportions. Have you noticed I don't have any like diver style watches because I think they're a little too bulky for my taste. I kind of like sleek and like slim. That's just my personal style though, my personal preference. So then after I bought that, I was like, okay, I need to cool it. So I went basically a year just enjoying my collection, what I had so far. I was still browsing a lot, to be honest. You know, it's just fun to like look what's out there, like keep track of either new releases or different brands that you haven't discovered yet. And yeah, watching YouTube, looking on Instagram, I was kind of seeing a bunch that I liked and like kind of saving it for later. But I ended up a year later from buying that Timex. I ended up going back to a tried and true brand for me, which was Kuoe. I saw a picture of this, and this was actually their first model, I believe. This is an Old Smith 90-001. So the other one I showed was a 002. For some reason, I guess I hadn't seen like this green and gold variant, but it really caught my eye, especially like with the small seconds and like, yeah, no numbers, just indices. They looked really sleek. And that green, usually green isn't my favorite color, but I really like green and gold together. And this is quartz compared to the mechanical on the 002. Easy to wear, easy to throw on. I'll just put it on in the morning, don't have to think about it. So yeah, I grabbed it in late 2023. What made me think of Kuoe again, we actually went to Japan in May 2023, and that was my fiance's first time there. And we stopped in Kyoto, so I was hoping to get to their storefront there, but we ended up not having time. So, I mean, which was okay. I was kind of bummed, but we saw a lot of cool things anyway. But then, yeah, I guess when we came back, like even like 6 months later, I was still thinking about Kuoe. So yeah, I ended up grabbing this, and this is such an easy like daily wear. And yeah, I mean, when I pull these out, I just have to like remind myself why I bought them and what's so striking about them. Like, so my two close friends are actually going to be in my wedding party, and my gift to them was buying them their like first watch basically. And I was telling them like, I want to get you a watch that really screams at you. And they started making fun of me, like bringing up that phrase over and over. But like, yeah, I think most of the watches I've bought, some of them I have maybe like, not regret, but the fact that I don't wear them that much, I'm like, okay, maybe it was more of an impulse buy. But most of the watches I have do scream at me, for lack of a better phrase. So yeah, when I revisit them, or when I look through in the morning to like figure out which one I'm gonna wear, I think it is nice to have multiple that still like resonate with me after all these years. Okay, so yeah, at this point I've had like 7 or 8 in my collection, so it's growing to be kind of sizable. My fiance bought me like a glass display case for to fit 6, and I had filled that up kind of quickly. And this was like a weird thought process in my head. Like, I need to keep leveling up, like I need to keep upgrading. And the main factor of that was price. I don't follow that now. I don't think that's a good way to look at collecting, because price doesn't mean you'll enjoy it more necessarily. In fact, like some of my favorite pieces are not so expensive. They're very attainable. Yeah, when I was still in that thought process, I had just gotten like a bonus from work, so I wanted to celebrate. I was still browsing. I was looking through my kind of like bookmarked watch pages, and this was kind of like an impulse buy, I will say. But I thought about it for a little bit. It wasn't like the first time I saw it, I bought it. But yeah, in 2024, I ended up getting this Hamilton Intramatic Auto. To be fair, when I did see the image of it, it screamed at me. This like off-white ring and like this shade of blue combined, and like the indices really stood out to me. And I thought it was a really beautiful watch, especially with the brown leather. At that point, this was by far the most expensive watch that I had considered buying, like seriously. So I did think about it a little bit, but it was funny, like a lot of the watches I was buying was late at night when I was in bed and like not being able to sleep. So I don't know if that's a good thing either. But it came and I saw it in person and I was like, this is a really beautiful watch. And then I put it on and I was like, yeah, this watch is really cool. But then the more I wore it, it's that like this bump here. This is 40 millimeter also, diameter. But I think another thing that I wasn't considering was lug to lug, which is kind of like how far these stretch out. These are the lugs over here holding the strap. And that can actually make or break like a fit. So this, to me, this watch is not the most comfortable to wear, which is a shame because I really like how it looks. I was wearing it right after I bought it, but then, yeah, I mean, if it's not comfortable, then it's not gonna be like one I grab immediately. But if I'm wearing like an outfit that matches it, then I'll definitely put it on. It is a really nice watch. It is well made, well designed. So I do like it and I don't regret buying it, but it is kind of the similar thing with Timex. Like it's not the most comfortable. Yeah, after I bought this, I was like, okay, I gotta cool it, which seems to be a recurring theme. But then, as you probably have guessed, I did not cool it. Well, I did for, I think like 6 months again. But the next part of 2024, my family and I, along with like my fiance and my sister's partner, we all went to Japan together because we used to live in northern Japan for a total of 6 years in 2 different tours. So we were all gonna go as a family, and it was very exciting because like I love visiting Japan. It's a really cool place to visit, especially outside of the big city. Like we were gonna go up north to see where we used to live and even go further north to Hokkaido. I had started to see a lot of videos on this next brand and people really praising like the quality and the craftsmanship, and I was looking at their like movements and how they work. They're super cool. I just got more and more excited about this brand in spite of the price tag, which it's still like kind of insane to me. But in this case, it was not an impulse buy. I deliberately like intentionally saved up and I kind of had a plan on how to purchase this. So we went to Japan, we went to Tokyo, and in Ginza, we went to Wako Ginza, and I picked up the Grand Seiko SBGA 211, which is the snowflake. And when I saw the picture and like the videos showcasing like the dial, man, I just fell in love. Just the level of detail. And I think so many videos go over the same things that attracts people to this brand, so I won't get too deep into it. But to me, like a Japanese brand with this level of quality, it just gets me excited about watches. The one thing I will say, like, I kind of wish I had stayed in that store a little bit longer, or like went up to the kind of like other displays that they had. But we were with my family and I didn't want to like take up everybody's time just looking at watches all day. So I bought it and we kind of like got out of there, and we were gonna go to a museum that they told us to go check out, but it was closed that day. So we ended up going to like a vintage watch store that was very nice. But yeah, one thing, like I wish I could go back and kind of like check out what that area had to offer, like Seiko specifically. Yeah, getting this is a little crazy. To be fair, but this is the watch that I'm gonna wear at my wedding. It is very special to me even before the wedding takes place, just because I put like intention behind purchasing this, and just knowing like this will be something I can pass down. It is a little crazy, but I really, really love that I own this watch. So yeah. So then immediately after buying this, I was like, okay, I really have to pause and just enjoy what I have, and especially enjoy this. I've said that after buying other watches before, so like I really had to do it for this. But then, as you know, life comes at you fast. No, but like when we went to that vintage shop in Ginza, I was like, wow, some of these pieces are really cool. Like I never really thought about looking at vintage. I always wanted something like brand new, something that I would be the first owner of. But the more I thought about it, like I really gravitate towards kind of like the older style designs. I went on Chrono 24 and I was just browsing like Seiko, vintage Seiko, like JDM models, which is like Japanese domestic market. So ones you necessarily couldn't get here unless you like imported it or something. And I found a lot of really cool models and designs. And I found one that I really liked, but I knew I had just bought the Grand Seiko, so I was like, enjoy what you have now and be content. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna save this for later. And I checked back a little later and somebody had bought it, so then I panicked once again. And I found another listing of the one I wanted on a different strap. This was on a bracelet instead of a leather strap, but it was mainly the watch itself that I really wanted. And so I got the one that you saw in the beginning, which is this Seiko Dolce 9521-5200. I mean, yeah, like when I saw the pictures, I was like, this is super thin, super elegant, sleek. This face is so cool with the black gold and silver. This bracelet kind of worried me. It looks like teeth, so I thought it would catch. But honestly, it's pretty comfortable. So no complaints there. I wear this quite a lot now. This is like a good daily one. I think it's still on Japanese time technically, and I kind of want to just keep it that way, which is funny because watches are tools. But I mean, in this day and age, it's easy to just check your phone or like look on your computer what time it is. I don't know, it's kind of funny. I'm just gonna leave it on Japan time. And I am worried about water resistance, so I really try not to get it wet if I'm like washing my hands or something. So yeah, I mean, that's my collection. I'm at a point now where I'm like, okay, I'll browse and I'll save some new ones, but I am really happy with what I have and like the variety I can bounce around to. Oh my, my cat just wanted to go in his box up here because it's sunny. Here, let me show you. Hi, Kyo. You want to check out the watches too? But yeah, this has been my journey so far. I am feeling more content and less like chasey, for lack of a better word. Like I like what I have right now. But yeah, that was a long video of me rambling, so thanks for watching. Say bye, Kyo. See you later.